All right. Well, welcome, ladies. How are you? Everybody doing good? Awesome. Okay, so I'll just have you all keep your mute on while we're going. Anyway, so welcome. I'm Cynthia Ray, registered dietitian and fitness specialist. I am so excited to share with you all about how to unlock your metabolism after 40 and sharing with you some of my expert secrets for releasing body fat in this amazing masterclass. So if you feel like you need to turn off your video at any time, feel free. And if you have any questions as we go ahead and put them in the chat box. I may or may not see them till the end. So feel free to use the chat box if you want to chat with each other or have questions. It's going to be hard for me to check the chat all the time, but if I do, I'll answer your question right away. So, all right, so welcome. So today we are going to be diving deep into a topic that's so close to my heart, and Annette can attest to this. She's been in my group for a little while. Unlocking your metabolism after 40 and discovering my expert secrets to losing weight and living out your fabulous life. And I love that word fabulous. It's so colorful. It just says a lot about what we want out of life. So, a little bit about me. When I was young, little, growing up, I was always, as I think about it now, a truth seeker. I always wanted to find out the why behind everything. And my poor parents would say, "Oh my gosh, when you were little, you'd ask why all the time." And we didn't know how to answer you. So I would ask them, like, why is the sky blue? How do birds fly? Why do leaves turn orange and fall off on the trees in the fall? Like, and why do certain trees not do that? So I was always wanting to know a foundational truth and really the science behind God's creation and how beautifully he painted the sky, how amazingly I have an appreciation for how he created our bodies to be in sync with nature, his love in us and all of his creation, including each and every one of our bodies that he designed with a temperament, with a wiring in it, with a personality that's formed in us, with a purpose that he planned for each of us in our lives. So, and his because of his love for us. So, I just love diving into that. So, for years after my younger years, probably like, well, maybe even younger years, elementary age and on, I was living in anxiety and fear. And I just realized just probably like 5 years ago, I just what works for me is to go to prayer, go to God, just rest in his presence and begin to express gratitude and abide in his love, trusting. That was a big one. Trusting, if you live in fear, trust is a big one. Not trusting is a big one. Trusting that he would fulfill the plans that I have. Like today, before I started, I'm like, oh man, I have all these slides to share and all this tech to do. And I'm like, you know what? It's going to be great. Thank you, God, for going ahead of me. Um, and knowing that he'll fulfill his
Years.
plans and promises for me. And sometimes I just need to be still. I just need to be still and rest in knowing that he's got me. He's got us. So it's going to make it a lot easier that way. So if you have your mic on, go ahead and mute it if you haven't yet. All right. So let's go and take a look at the course objective. So you all can see my screen still, right? It says course objective. You guys good? Okay. Okay. The course objective is to show women, 40 plus specifically, how to shed stubborn weight and get lean and fit without sacrificing precious time with your spouse, with your kids, grandkids, having time to travel freely, be confident, feel beautiful and sexy, and have the energy and vitality to show up fully for your family and for whatever God's calling is for you. So that's my main objective with everything that I do for women over 40. Okay, so this training is for you if you want to take charge of your health, you're looking for longevity, you want to reverse the aging process, and you want to regain your vitality that you might have been missing out on for the past 10 to 15, 20 years plus, depending on how old you are. So if you're ready to make change, again, reverse the aging process, regain vitality so you can live your God ordained, fabulous life that you deserve. So, this masterclass is specifically tailored for those who are ready to make transformative change in your life. If you're someone longing to take charge of your health and wellness journey, and if you're someone who's not looking for a quick fix or a temporary fix with short solutions, with short lasting solutions. So if you're the type of person who really wants to do this for the long haul, this is really designed for you. And if you're sick of, this is the other half of it. If you're sick of feeling trapped by outdated beliefs about aging, That's a huge one. I know we talk about this in our group too. It's like, for me personally, and I like to encourage women that we don't have to succumb to traditional norms of aging. There's lots of things that happen and we hear a lot of stuff. And I even caught, it was funny, when was it last Thursday, we were at my in-laws' house and they had the news on. And I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. We're just watching the news. But every single commercial, my kids are like, how come there's a medication commercial during every break during the news? Medication or something related to, improving your health or just sustaining your health, not necessarily living victoriously, but just kind of going with the flow, like, oh, I have knee pain, so I need to do such and such thing. Instead of looking above that, there was always like temporary fixes for what was happening in the moment. So I've done my research and living it out with my group and just really helping them find ways to live out our best life without having to rely on traditional norms of aging or believe that we are supposed to age in a certain manner. So if you're frustrated with the endless cycle of diets that don't bring sustainable results, that's another one too, because I know it's huge. Being a dietitian, I worked in this world for about 27 years and I've seen all the things, all the diets, all the fads come and go. I tried them, did them, and they're passing and fading. And even right now with that drug, I'm kind of going on a tangent, but Ozempic, that's another big one that's really hitting the market right now. And one of my close friends, Karen, she's a holistic healthcare practitioner, specializes in gut and hormonal health. And her and one of her girlfriends are trying to put together a program to help women get off of it because to transition off of it is so hard. The rebound weight gain is pretty significant, and it's hard to get your body and insulin back in sync to its natural levels. So anyway, no quick fixes here. We're in for the long haul. So I'm going to teach you all that as we go. All right. So if you are ready, are our faces covering the slides? Is anybody? No? Okay, you're good. All right. Okay. So if you're ready for a holistic whole person approach to wellness that empowers you to thrive physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, we're going to cover it all here. And this is for you. And you're in the right place. This training is going to be crafted for motivated individuals eager to change and the ones who are seeking a more helpful, fulfilling life after 40. Somebody. And then let's clarify who might find this training isn't for them. So there's a group of us who this is for. And if it's not for you, I'm going to share this so you can see. So this training might not align with individuals who aren't quite ready to commit to change or someone who wants a quick fix. Does not want to do any work or put effort in. The truth is that what I'm sharing with you today, it is simple. It's really simple. The steps are easy, or they're simple, but it's not always easy. You have to challenge yourself to make change at some level, right? So going back to, traditional diets or medications, we were talking about Ozempic earlier, but those types of things are the kinds of things that people will go to who want a fast result, but not have to do any work, right? So with certain medications or other things, you don't have to do anything. You just take it or get the injection. And then, but in the long run, it gets you on the other end. So the truth is, honestly, what I'm going to share with you is if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? Because everybody wants to take the easy road. That's just kind of our human nature. If you're closed-minded, this isn't going to work for you. And even if it doesn't resonate with you, or you prefer a rigid one-size-fits-all approach, or you're not open to exploring new perspectives and strategies, that's okay. It's fine. Sometimes we have to learn from that and embrace what I'm going to be sharing today and come in with an open mind. And if you're unwilling to embrace a holistic approach to wellness, meaning your whole person, mind, body, soul, spirit, then you will start to see a transition or transformation in your whole person, not just your body weight. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into what you can expect during this class today. So let's talk about some more details. Okay, for the next 45 minutes, I'm trying to hit 45. I'll be pouring out as much value as I can, going beyond over theories. I'll share real life experiences and examples of how these methods I'm going to share with you today have been working for so many people and how it could work for you. Also, to ensure that you're going to get the most out of this before I really dive in, I would love for you, if you need to, grab a snack, grab some water. We can take a pause here in a minute. Grab some water, grab a snack, use the restroom. We'll take a restroom break. And then also making sure to turn off your phone ringers. And if you have any extra tabs open on your computer or your phone, if you can close those, if you need to save them, you can go ahead and save those. Just because this time is for you and I want to make the most of our time together and just stay focused. I know there's so many distractions in the world, especially with social media and text and all these things moving and changing. But yeah, let's use this time together. I'm just going to grab some water too. So you can take a minute to do those things if you need to. And if you're watching the recording, welcome. Okay, I should turn my ringer off my phone too, just to make sure. Okay, we're good. Okay. All right, everybody good? Okay. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to be learning. So I'm going to start out talking about the three big mistakes that a lot of times we make and leads to, I guess, not getting any of the results that we're looking for or the health benefits that we're looking for, and then uncovering the why behind each of those. So together we're going to be tackling the three big mistakes that might be holding you back from achieving your weight loss desire or just your health desire. I know the front of this is really about over 40 and fat loss and unlocking your metabolism, but that's just one part of this big health onion, wellness onion. There's so many layers, right? And sometimes body fat loss could be the third layer, it could be the first layer, it could be the seventh layer. But we're going to be talking about a little bit about all the layers and then how body fat loss and your metabolism can be unlocked in the process. So I'll uncover why you need to get the desired results that you want, and most importantly, provide a step-by-step framework for achieving it without being told to exercise more and eat less. Yuck. Who wants that? If you stay to the end, okay, this is the fun part. So when you if you decide to stay to the end, if you can, I'm going to be giving away some little prizes and bonuses. So stay to the end and it'll be totally worth it. Whether you're watching the recording or watching me live, let's hang out together and have a little incentive for you all for sticking around. So let me introduce myself properly. I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about me. And let me stop sharing my screen real quick. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm afraid it won't come back to it. Okay, so let me share a little bit about myself. Okay, so again, my name is Cynthia Ray. I'm a registered dietitian and fitness specialist. I'm also a homeschooling mom of three. My oldest is graduating in college. He's a second year at college at Gonzaga University in Washington State, Spokane, Washington. And like I said, we're down here in Florida right now, but we also live in Idaho for most of the year and just come down here to snowbird. So I'm married to my husband, Corey Ray, for 23 years. We just had our anniversary on the 13th. I am passionate about learning and researching, and I love a good, fun, high intensity, high energy workout. Not all the time, but when I feel good, it's good. I love a tasty cup of coffee. I love coffee and I love tea. I love all things art, history, music, science. That's why I homeschool too, because I love teaching my kids and sharing experiences with them. I love going with my family to museums. We go to the orchestra, all types of live music. But my personal favorite music is jazz. My son actually is a jazz pianist, so I'm blessed by his music. I love jazz, and I'm a girl of the 90s. So I love 90s hip hop to work out to. What else? My family, my background is from Costa Rica. My dad's from Costa Rica. My mother's from Nicaragua. So I'm half and half. But my heritage is actually Sicilian Italian. I just learned that over the holidays, which was pretty interesting. I didn't know that. I can speak some Spanish. People always ask me, like, can you speak some Spanish? Survival Spanish, I can. I grew up listening to my parents speaking to me in Spanish, so I understand it fluently. But I always responded to him in English. So that's my style. If somebody speaks to me in Spanish, I'll respond in English. It doesn't always work. But as a family, my own family, we love traveling. We love checking new things out, and we call them cultural experiences. And usually, if we go to kind of like a shady restaurant or a weird place, the kids are like, "Oh, mom, that was our cultural experience," or something odd. So we love giving that to our kids. Okay, so professionally, I have a bachelor's degree in nutritional science, a master's degree in public health and health education. I'm also a registered and licensed dietitian and certified with the American College of Sports Medicine as a health and fitness specialist. So I was in school for a while, and like I said, I love learning. I probably could be a professor and be completely content to stay in college forever. For the past 25 years, I've been helping women achieve their best health, and women with, from eating disorders, anywhere on that spectrum, from anorexia, bulimia to binge eating and everything else in between, chronic dieting, bulimia, exercise addiction, all those things. I'm recovered myself in my teens and early 20s. I struggled also with anorexia and bulimia. And with the Lord's grace and his love, scooped me out of that and took me out of that lifestyle and allowed me to have this amazing ministry to help other women at different seasons of life to achieve their best self. So let's see. Okay. So more recently, I'm 47 now. So when I turned 40, I just, kept doing my workouts, doing my clean eating, doing my mindful and intuitive eating that I was taught in my own recovery, and worked wonderfully. And then right at 44, 45, I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. My body's changing, but I'm doing the same stuff, right? I'm eating clean, listening to my body, exercising daily, all the things. And I thought, that's interesting. So I thought, I'm just going to embrace it. It is what it is. This is what happens as I age. But then I realized, you know what? I'm working out hard. I'm eating healthfully for my well-being. And I want to see what my body is capable of. And what do I need to change in my diet and exercise routine as I age that's different from how it was in my 20s and 30s, right? Because I was doing the same thing as I was in my 20s and 30s, but all of a sudden, right, things are different. So I decided to go on a diet, which I've never done before because I'm recovered from eating disorders and an eating disorders recovery coach. So I've been teaching women for a long time how not to diet. And I'm like, I'm just going to try it out. I'm recovered. I'm healthy. I have a good mindset. So I did. And it was rough. I mean, if any of you have been on a diet before, it's rough. I mean, it's, have to restrict calories. You have to count calories. You have to measure. You have to weigh. Be really diligent about doing all the things that they tell you to do just so you don't make any mistakes. And you want to get the results that you want. So I did that, and I had horrible headaches. I was hungry all the time. My energy was low, and I was not feeling my best. Although the weight was coming off, but I wasn't feeling my best. I'm like, if I have to live this way forever, I'd rather have a little extra layer of fat on my body than to have to live this way, because I know what it feels like to feel good, right? And to feel well. So then after all that happened, I just went back to my intuitive and mindful eating. I wrote a book called The 21-Day Sugar Detox, if you're not familiar with it. I wrote and published that last December, a little over a year ago. And when I published it, we had our first round of members go through. Everybody was feeling really great. And they're like, okay, what's next? I'm like, I don't have another book I can write right now. So I ended up creating a course that I have now. It's called the Ageless Body Blueprint, How to Be Fit, Fabulous, and Fierce Over 40. So I did research and started implementing this new lifestyle myself, and then started inviting women to be a part of my test group. And it was amazing. We're now going to be starting up our third round of the group February 5th. And the group and course is all about the things I'm going to share with you today. And then I'll share with you more about it later if you want to know more. But anyway, so that's where I'm at. So I'm doing this course now. I'm sharing my book still, and then hopefully going to create this course into a book this year. We'll see what God has for me. So, alrighty. So let's go ahead and go back to my slides. Let's see. What are you guys seeing now? Are you seeing my slides still? Okay, awesome. Yay, it's working. All right. So let's talk about the three major mistakes and misconceptions So that the reality is that science has changed a lot very recently, like within the last 5 years, as far as weight loss science. So when I was in college, I was taught, and I've been teaching in my private practice for years, up until the last couple of years, about weight loss is about calorie restriction, right? So eat less, exercise more to have a calorie deficit, right? That's kind of the science behind the calculation behind weight loss, right? Or body fat loss. But more recently, scientists are discovering that calorie restriction isn't actually, it does work temporarily, but it's not actually how our bodies lose body fat. It's actually our hormonal imbalance. So hormonal imbalance, not necessarily sex hormones like estrogen and progesterone, but it's more about digestive hormones. So about insulin and about your liver health. So I'm going to dive into that today. So I'm saying this in advance so that you have an open mind and can really understand what's going on. That's why I wanted to do this masterclass too, is to share the latest in research. Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 big mistakes that are preventing you from achieving your optimal self, why you're not getting the fat release that you want, and the anti-aging effects that come along with it, and then what you should be doing instead. And I'm going to give you my step-by-step framework on how to reverse the process without giving up your favorite meals, without giving up coffee dates with the ones you love. Because I know that those meals and times together or celebrations or holidays are so important for our well-being because they bond us with other people. They give us memories with our family. Laughing and having coffee with a friend is probably one of the best medicines. Just bonding is so important. So I never want anybody to ever feel like they can't have those opportunities because it's such a part of our well-being and longevity. So making sure to do that. Okay, so we're going to dive a little bit deeper and to eliminate 3 common mistakes that hold you back. The truth is, if you've done these things before, it's okay. It's not your fault. This is kind of what science has been sharing with us, but there's some new things out there I want to share with you. A lot of times the things that we have done before for weight loss has ended us up in a weight loss or body fat loss plateau, and then confused even about why I'm doing all the things I was doing before to lose weight and it's not working anymore. And then being confused by the changes our bodies make as they age. But I'm going to show you how that's going to work over 40. Okay. So let's acknowledge the big challenge in our industry. Like I said before, everyone wants instant results, but would rather not have to do the work and they'd rather be comfortable. That's our human nature, right? For survival. The challenge is it's affecting our results. But today, I'm going to share with you how to overcome it. The overarching challenge in our industry is that it does not address the whole person, right? When we talk about dieting, it's just about calories in, calories out, or diet programs. They rarely talk about the whole person. They focus on numbers and weight and measurements and forget that we're human and that God created us with emotions, intellect, and with feelings. So it's important that we know that we have a soul and a spirit and a will and God's guidance for us. They are, the interesting thing I was learning, kind of going back a little bit about soul and spirit, is that our soul is kind of like what manages our emotions and feelings. Like if we went with our emotions and feelings for everything, like, oh, it feels good or it looks good, it's not going to lead us right in the right path all the time, right? But if we go with more of like what our spirit is saying, which is truth, sometimes it's hard to discern it, then you're going to get the outcomes that you want. So it's always important, if you're a believer, to listen to and stay in tune with the Holy Spirit's promptings, being in step and asking for discernment in all areas. You can sometimes get just like a gut feeling about something, a word from the Lord that impacts your heart and something that feels right. And so just know that when we are let's see how I describe this, when you are feeling in fear and when you're feeling at peace, those are totally different things. So if you're doing something that's causing you to feel in fear, it might not be the right thing. Not always, but sometimes you want to check it. If you're doing something and it's resulting in peace, then it's usually the right thing. That's a very general statement, but I just kind of want to throw it out there because we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. All right, so let's talk about these common mistakes. Okay, number 1, ignoring the power of the mind. If you feel like you want to take a screenshot of any of this, if you can, go ahead. So number one, ignoring the power of the mind. And then number two is doing the same thing and expecting a different result, right? That's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And then number three is neglecting the impact of consistency. All right, so these are the top three things. Let me go back. I'm going to stop my share. Actually, I'm going to keep us here and I'm going to go back and share a little bit about each of these things with you all. If I can find my spot. There we go. Okay. So number one, we're going to talk about the three mistakes. The first one is, where are we? Mistake number one, ignoring the power of the mind and our thoughts, focusing on weight and the number and ignoring the rest of your wellness needs. So many of you might find it challenging to get to the root of what's actually happening, right? Happening in your mind, in your body, and your behaviors that keep you stuck. And it's a common oversight that could be affecting your progress. So many times, like I said, programs don't address this, but working in the eating disorders world and the behavior world and the addictive world, I see it. And just with women who struggle with sugar issues or carbohydrate, it's not really an addiction, but they call it an addiction. That has to be addressed, right? Because it's not about the food, it's about the feelings. Okay, our culture is so focused on numbers and logic as a way to lose body fat. Sometimes letting that go and living your life as your best life is critical. You know what to do, but don't want to do it because the food at hand, whatever's in front of you, looks so good, even though you're not supposed to eat it, that you go for it anyway. So making decisions moment by moment, meal by meal, are going to be so important in this process. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay. The other thing too, is that many of us are never really taught how to handle deprivation, that I can't have something, especially with food. Usually we are given food as a comfort when we are having a hard time with certain emotions or things that are happening in our life, but rarely are we having food taken away from us to cope, right? It's usually the other way around. So a lot of us are never taught how to handle deprivation or to even know how to handle the emotions that come in life without using food, or never taught how to handle emotions. Because, for example, there's three key brain chemicals. There's dopamine, there's oxytocin, and serotonin, right? So those three hormones are affected by food, mostly affected by food. Having carbohydrate-laden meals really calm us down. They give us that feeling of comfy, cozy oxytocin. So they can be used as a drug, and they do work temporarily if you're feeling uncomfortable, you need more comforting. So just kind of keep that in mind, and I'll dive into that a little bit more too. Okay, so if you remain stuck and can never fully grow and mature into the person God has created you to be, if you're not looking at the whole person. The more you push, the more pushback you'll get. Like the more push meaning like the more you restrict, the harder you try, the more pushback you'll get. And when you're focused on the numbers and the results, and we end up neglecting the whole person, we get more stress, we get more anxiety. And as a result, keep ourselves stuck in self-sabotage and down talking ourselves. Like a lot of times I remember in recovery, we would say that the diet, you didn't fail the diet failed you. So meaning like whatever you were doing wasn't working because it wasn't what you were ready to handle yet, right? So if there's deprivation involved, but you're never taught how to handle deprivation, it would be almost impossible to sustain it, right? Okay, maybe sometimes even our expectations are unrealistic and higher than attainable for that time in your life. And what's really important is to know what's really going on if there's an emotional food connection going on. And what I sometimes think too is like, if we're trying so hard and striving so hard for certain people to lose weight and to push, like, what's this heavy load that you're pushing? Why is it so important? And a lot of times we have to learn how to do something different in order to achieve something different, right? All right. So here's what happens when you stop making this common mistake. Let's say you now open your mind and are ready to give up the previous beliefs holding you back. Now you're prepared and open-minded to learn something new. You will know it is correct because a feeling of peace will overcome you. The fruit of the Spirit is peace and rest. Perfect love casts out all fear. So following this guidance, you'll be able to implement it with trust and ease and want to be and want to because the guidance is peaceful and logical. You can take your focus off the food and weight that has been there for 98% of the day and move into rest and truth. Besides, it's the truth that sets you free. So a lot of times I had clients in the past that I would ask them, what percentage of the day are you thinking about food? And many times they would say, oh, probably like 100%. It's like, okay, really 100%? They're like, well, maybe 98%. I'm like, okay. So when you're focused on weight loss and food so much, you can't really have time for the rest of your life because there's so much stress being put on yourself. All right, so let's take a look at one of the ladies in my course who had some great results from everything that we're doing together. So our first friend is Cheryl. She's not with us today, but I do have a little quote from her. So Cheryl had been living a diet lifestyle and working in the diet industry for years. She's a really sweet lady. She made lifelong attempts to lose weight and get rid of sugar. And in her younger years, she fasted. When I met her at a retreat a couple of years ago, she came to me seeking help with her diet and nutrition and desiring weight loss. And for some reason, she knew, and it's so funny, we talk about this all the time, that I was the person that she needed to help her next in the next step of her journey. She was stuck and needed a new way to do things. She joined my sugar detox test group, and it was so cute because she was so excited to share with all of her friends and family and wanted everybody to do it with her. And it was such a blessing for me and for her and all of her friends. So after she did the sugar detox with me, then she joined the Ageless Body Blueprint course. And then she was really leaning into the truth of what I was sharing. And it put her on a new path to weight loss and longevity. And she hasn't looked back since. And she shared with me too that she felt a renewed sense of peace, a sense of freedom, and not anchored by thoughts of food and weight. So she could go and live out her best life without having to think about food 98% of the time. So this quote I have for you is actually a text I received from her as we were going through the course together, the Ageless Body Blueprint course together. And she was sharing with me that she was so excited to see that as of this morning, that particular day, my blood sugar levels dropped from 122 to 115, and I'm down 9 pounds. That literally, I remember this, it was in 2 weeks of our sugar detox group. I was like, wait a second, this is pretty amazing. So this is my test group. So, and it was pretty cool to see this happening in my test group. She said that she needed to keep her sugars low because her dad died from diabetes, and a close friend of hers died in her mid 40s due to complications from diabetes. So I just want to share this example with you because it's really how getting out of the diet mentality and mindset can really keep you from being stuck in all these things. All right, so let me go back here. All right, so mistake number 2. Here we go, mistake number 2. Mistake number 2 is doing the same thing and expecting a different result, right? Insanity. Overlooking the importance of thinking differently, outside of the box, remaining as scientists out of the box, listening to what scientists are saying and discovering when God reveals something new or overlooked to scientists that we're finding out now, right? So let's address the second stumbling block, staying single-minded. Are you guilty of neglecting this crucial aspect? You may be here, you are here and may not be to find out why you are stuck, right? So it could be maybe, are you staying single-minded? Our bodies are really wired for survival and will adapt to what you bring in. So if you put a little bit of, we call hormetic stress, like gentle stress that's going to build you up, put a little hormetic stress to it to make a positive change, and it allows you to build up your body and not break it down with the other stress, which is distress. So there's distress, which will break your body down. And then there's eustress or hormetic stress, which will actually help your body to grow and strengthen and build up, right? Okay. You might be doing the same thing and expecting different results because maybe there has been a shift in weight loss science, like I said earlier, and a deeper understanding beyond what we thought 10 to 15 years ago. Back then, we thought eggs, butter, and meat are bad for your cholesterol, but now we know they're not necessarily. That elevated cholesterol isn't a diet issue per se. It's actually a liver health issue, right? So your liver is responsible for metabolizing fats, whether it's body fat or dietary fat. Your liver's responsible for that. So if it's full of toxins or full of stored carbohydrates, it's going to be impossible or very difficult for you to lose body fat. We also thought that weight loss was all about calories, but we know now that's a hormonal issue, not an energy issue. To get a different result, you need to do things differently. Look at what you eat, not how many calories you eat. And then just knowing that restricting calories does decrease weight. I know that. I experienced it myself. I've seen it with clients, but every single time I've done with clients, they always hit a plateau. So then we have to start scrambling and have to figure out a new way, a new method for them. And it was so hard, it's so stressful on me because I really wanted to get them the result. But all I knew, this is 5 years ago, is all I knew. Okay, well, if we bring calories down more, metabolism will slow down and then your body will start adapting to a lower calorie amount. And it was just really complicated. So restricting calories does decrease weight, but it also causes your metabolism to drop, making it harder and harder to lose weight despite eating less and less. So as the less you eat, your body's super adaptive and it's wired for survival. The less you eat, the slower your body's metabolism will go. So that way it can survive on what it has and do its best to thrive with whatever you're giving it. Okay, and if you continue doing this, doing it the old way leads to not making progress. Maybe you get so frustrated, you just want to throw in the towel, staying stuck, or maybe even gaining weight. Sometimes people will reduce calories and their body gets stressed out. So we actually end up releasing more cortisol and it leads to more weight gain and fat deposition. So it can be super frustrating. So and if you continue doing this, you'll just end up living in frustration, feeling like you just can't do it, and always looking for the next best thing rather than sticking to one thing long enough, right? So I know how chronic dieters live, right? I've treated them, I've been one, where we're always looking for the next best thing, or we're doing something and all of a sudden our girlfriend's like, oh, try this thing, or you see her one time after you haven't seen her for a while and she's lost a bunch of weight and you're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? So then you jump in on what she's doing and we never give our body an opportunity to really do the thing that we're doing. So it's really easy to get sidetracked, but it's important to stick with what you're doing. If you know it's truly not working for you, like I finished out my diet that I was doing and I finished it because I wanted to see what my body would do. And I realized it just wasn't working for me because it just wasn't feeling right anymore. Okay, so let me share with you another testimonial of my friend Kim. Let's see what's happening with, there she is. Okay, this isn't actually her face. This is actually just a little picture I had on my computer because she wanted to stay a little bit more anonymous, which is fine. So she did tell me that she did learn that she did like fasting. By fasting and lowering her blood sugar consumption, she lost 8 pounds. And she hasn't, at this point, she didn't progress too much with her fasting. She was maybe doing about 16-hour fasts, but she was already losing significant weight. This literally was 2 weeks. So she also learned, it was funny, we had a chat about this, that she was very stubborn in this area. And then she was just so tired because she had been on so many diets. She had done so many different things. She was so done with it. She said, I don't want to talk about eating or losing weight or anything. I'd rather be poked in the eye and do math, which for her is saying something. She's a homeschool mom too, which is kind of cute. I'm just really happy, content, and full of peace. As soon as I start talking about it, I just would rather do something else. So when she texted that to me, I was laughing because she's a really funny, cute person. And she was telling me she's just so burnt out on diets. And so I knew that this was something for her because it was something that wasn't diety, but just learning how to live out this lifestyle. She also shared with me too that she had weight loss surgery and struggled going from diet to diet and then found herself burnt out. But as she started doing that course together, she found out that she was beginning to gain peace around her relationship with food and finally understanding what her body needed and not ever feeling like she was restricted or having to count calories or feeling overwhelmed. So she felt like I was able to, in our course, able to simplify the process for her. So she wasn't feeling as stressed out and was more open to doing new things like fasting and lowering her sugar consumption, which was really exciting. So I like how she said it, to poke my eye out or do math. I kind of feel the same way about math sometimes too. All right. So, and then also another testimonial from Tracy. So Tracy was in my test group. So she said that she lost 24.6 pounds since January. So this is last year. When I started the 21-day sugar detox, I hit a minor plateau. And with Cynthia's suggestion, I finally broke through with a moderate 1 pound loss per week, or this week. And actually, she kept losing after that. She came to me after her weight loss was plateauing, and we tweaked things a little bit. And then she got back on track with her weight loss. I've been consistently getting in my workouts, which is also helping. I feel better too. The best part is your coveted prayers and being able to openly give God all the glory for taking away cravings, nudging me to actually